Welcome back. I am going to go see the captain of the Legionnaires.
Get to signing recruits.
Sorry, sir.
What have we here, then? A so-called source hunter, eh? Well, look, do what you must in Cyseal, but don't make waves and don't interfere with the Legion's affairs, you hear? I'm Captain Aureus, if you must know, leader of the Legion in Cyseal, by which I mean I have the enviable task of commanding a battalion of walking dead. For I fear it may well be but a matter of time before the undead undo all my soldiers and turn them into drivelling hordes of their own misshapen number. Gods above! Some politician snuffs it and everyone's in an uproar. Ridiculous! I told that wizard brat of an Ahu not to bother, but he just had to send for source hunters, didn't he? Bloody magicians. They see a pigeon poop and think sorcery's afoot. Nevertheless, I want to be kept in the loop. Understand? I am in command of this town, not Mayor Cecil, not Ahu, and definitely not some hotshot source hunter. So investigate Jake's death if you feel so inclined, but report back to me the moment you discover something out of the ordinary.
He's an ass.
The scene of the crime is over at the King Crab Inn. You can tell the guard you have my permission to enter. Now off with you! Esmeralda is Jake's wife. Well, widow. Everyone in town, down to the crabs on the beach, is convinced she killed him. Now, the girl has the reputation of being a flirt. There is that. But that doesn't suffice as evidence, wouldn't you say? Or do source hunters rely on hearsay alone, perhaps? That certainly would explain some of the cock-ups you lot have made in the past. What? You're going to stand there and claim with a straight face your order never wrongly tortured and executed anyone? Hardly. But I won't stand for such nonsense. If you bring evidence before me, I'll evaluate it with perfect objectivity. The Legion relies on reason, see? Not idle superstition. If you must. Bravo! Figured that one out, did you? I haven't been stuck here for 2 years because we're being besieged by fluffy kittens, you know. Those brain-feasting freaks out there keep on coming, and it takes all the sword arms and all of Ahu's half-baked contraptions to keep them at bay. Keeping them at bay, that is all we do. Were that I could break their backs once and for all.
How are you enjoying Cyseal?
How am I enjoying it? Are you spoiling for a fight, Hunter? Are you? Cyseal stinks of fish, reeks of orcs, and on a good day, the wind disperses the stench of decomposing corpses. I can't remember the last time I had a proper piece of steak, and by now, I retch at the mere sight of sardines. So in conclusion, I am not enjoying Cyseal. We are the pride of Rivalon, to be found and to be seen everywhere. We don't hide in the dark and lurk in corners like some I could mention. No, we protect the civilized from the barbaric, and we do so impeccably. I'd say they are looking for weak spots in our defenses. They can't make an attack over land for fear of Ahu's magical machines, so they're trying their luck by sea. They won't succeed, though. Not against the Legion. Yes, and he also spends most of his time in the guise of a cat, licking God's knows which body parts. Sects, sorcerers. He'll be seeing flying carpets next.
That was hilarious.
I hope your quest fares well, dear hunter. What? I'd never. If you must know, I was merely checking up on Maxine, the mayor's cat. What a delight she is. The temperament of a tiger, The grace of a leopard and the manners of a lady all rolled into one. A perfect puss, if ever there was one. By all means. I can't say much more, but that they're madmen, all the more dangerous to us because of their alliance with what should be a natural enemy. You won't see me teaming up with a terrier in a hurry. Of course, I hope your investigation fares well. I can but piece together what few morsels fell from the grapevine into a rather disappointing meal, I'm afraid. They say a woman arrived in the King Crab Inn sometime after midnight. She retired to a room on the ground floor where she was soon joined by a man who had been nursing the same cup of wine for hours. I say man and woman because both of them were cloaked and recognized by none. About an hour later, another figure arrived, headed for the same room. Soon after, a terrible commotion erupted and the thundering light of magic was witnessed by the few remaining patrons. It took a while for the landlord to pluck up the courage to enter the mystery room. When finally he did, he found Jake there, dead. How and why he came to be there, no one knows. But I had a good look around the scene of the crime before the Legion barred anyone from entering. The traces of magic I felt were vile. Source, no doubt. I myself have none, even though the rest of the town has already mentally tried and convicted Jake's wife Esmeralda. Now, it may well be established that she is in fact the guilty party. I'm not claiming that I'm certain she's innocent, but let's just say that if I really thought this murder case would be so very easily resolved, I wouldn't have sent for source hunters. And what might those be? Those who are raising the dead dwell among us. They simply must be. But even though I've spent many a night leaping from tree to rooftop, watching on as citizens stagger home from the inn or simply burn the midnight oil, I haven't spied a single soul worthy of true suspicion. The enemy is wily. They know us better than we know them, and they've found ways to avoid both detection and distrust. And yet I am somehow convinced that you may succeed where the Legion and I have failed. Call it instinct. Oh, a mere trifle for one with the intellect of a feline and the engineering skills of a human. You basically construct a classic ballista, add a 100% legally obtained, self-regenerating source of destructive magic to it, and Bobcat's your uncle. You have a flair for understatements, Hunter. I'm sure they are but a minor nuisance in the eyes of a born warrior, but to the Legion they are green-skinned death incarnate. Until they conclude what mischief they intend to see through, or, less likely, they are conclusively defeated, we can but bar the gates and hole up like mice while the cats are on the prowl. But certainly, what would you like to know? Oh, that'll never happen. Granted, a witch could make the polymorph permanent if she'd enchant me in my cat guise, but I'll just have to be careful around witches, won't I? I'm my own wizard, you know, and I don't intend to become anyone's familiar. Oh, I am but a wizard, a guardian of man and beast, and indeed I am both. My body, like any other, is bound to temporal decay, but my spirit is a speck of light that shone forth from the eternal sun that is the cosmic soul. My task upon this earth is to protect the heart of nature, the very antithesis of which is the intrigue spun by demons and directors of the dead. Hence my involvement in Cyseal. You see, my one desire is to witness a world in which every mother looks around her and purrs with calm contentment, for she knows that her chicks or children, her cubs or calves, will grow up without knowing the meaning of menace, the enfeeblement of fear. To my great regret, none of them purr as yet. Oh, but that's not a trick, it's a blessing. Or does it surprise you that I enjoy taking a feline guise. Such magic is a gift to be out, but of course.
Alright, I already talked to Tim about that, that's why I skipped that. Anyway. Okay, so we got
You think
permission.
that's funny, Private?
It's heating up.
Now, where is my pepper? Did it sprout legs and run away? Ah, there it is.
Alright.
Now, where is my pepper? Did it sprout legs and run away? Ah.
I'm overheating here.
Maybe the lock can be jimmied.
Legion's greetings. I have been informed about your heroics on the beach. Were that I had been there to partake in the battle. But my duties lie here, sworn as I am to protect Lady Esmeralda from the rabble that would enforce summary justice on her, even though she is, until proven guilty, wholly innocent. I am Septimus, seventh son in a household of 9, legionnaires all. Me and 2 brothers of mine were assigned to Cyseal from day one. Alas, both of them have long since fallen in battle against the dead. But never shall I lose heart. Long as a single legionnaire stands, all of us remain undefeated in the eyes of the gods. So fair a lady I have seldom seen in all of Rivellon, my friend. And I have traveled more extensively than migratory birds do. She stands accused of murder, but in my mind, her presumed guilt is a fallacy, and indeed a fabrication. Steadfast will I guard her. Never will I waver unless absolute proof of her culpability should be brought before me. And I hold no such proof exists. Jake's murder is, in a word, a tragedy. He was well loved in all of Cyseal. The Council of 7 couldn't have wished for a better ambassador. That he of all people should have braved the undead siege for so long, only to be felled by foul sorcery, is heartrending. And what questions are those? Proper soldiers shouldn't be ordered to fight such unnatural abominations. We used to cut them limb from limb by the dozen, only to see a gross of them rise from the ground and stalk out of long-abandoned cellars. Accursed are their souls, and accursed are ours too for having to look upon them day after sorry day. I hold by the belief that this place is cursed. First, the undead, who are getting more vicious by the day, mind. Then the orcs, who don't seem to understand when a war's been lost. Something about this place seems to inspire the worst in those savages.
Lords above, grant me patience. You're a source hunter, aren't you?
Here because you think I killed my husband? How many times do I need to state and restate my complete innocence in the matter? I am Esmeralda, wife of Jake, and now, alas, his widow. Poor man. We were both so young when we married. He so rich and I so poor, but his one and only princess just the same. Starstone? I've never heard of such a thing. Dear Jake had a mineral collection, yes. As far as I knew, it was one of his pastimes, nothing more. Do you mean to imply he collected something dangerous? Something that may have gotten him into trouble? Oh, this is all too much. I feel like I'm drifting from nightmare into nightmare. Like I told just about every legionnaire in town, I don't know anything about poor Jake's murder. I want his killer found and tried, but everyone suspects me of this evil deed. And you're no different, are you? So what happened? Some of them tittle-tattling crab chasers down the pub call me a murderous gold digger and you believe them? These insinuations truly go beyond the pale. Oh, I think I'm getting one of my headaches. Well, what do you want to know? Praise be that Arhu the wizard has the wits about him to build these newfangled weapons of his, or Cyseal would have been the very throne of decay by now. Because of him, life here is almost bearable again, despite the walking dead. Though it's rather eerie and perplexing at the same time to think about how quickly one adjusts to the great dangers when a handful of guardians holds them at bay. Well, there are certainly some, interesting creatures running around these days. Orcs are only the tip of the brutish iceberg. Don't forget the murderous bones along the northern gate. And if the rumors are right, the ghosts in the Black Cove. How's that old expression? When the blood spills, it pours.
Quite
Dear
adamant
Septimus,
about her
that you
innocence.
haven't been fighting
We'll
those
need to look for
awful
evidence if we
orcs.
want to prove
I
she
can't
actually
bear
did
to
the
imagine
evil
something
deed.
would happen to you.
Oh, but don't you...
Join
Let's see. Halibut, sheep's cheese, tomatoes.
You there! A moment of your indulgence, if you please. You are the source hunter, are you not? The hero the whole of Cyseal is abuzz about. The talk of the town, the juiciest grape on the grapevine. Such a pleasure to meet you. A delight. No, scratch that. It is so much more than a delight. It is an intervention of fate. Yes, that's it. Fate has put me on this very spot so I may tell you all about a most intriguing opportunity indeed. Mendius, at your service. What is my profession? Well, I'll tell you what it used to be, and that is a man of medicine. But what does a man of medicine do but mend what has first been broken? I saved lives, to be sure, but today I change them. Oh, it's not merely an opportunity. It is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to become better. To become the full extent of the promise that is locked inside of each and every one of us. So first of all, let me ask you this question. Do you like adventure?
I feel that they're overusing the voice actors.
So you're just hanging around the inn, are you? Waiting for what?
Sure, I
Of
suppose.
course I do. How could someone in my profession not?
Quite right. Adventure is what we live for.
See here. You and I share the same passion. I never doubted it for a moment. The thrill of walking the unbeaten path, The rush of finding yourself in a goblin ambush, knowing you'll prevail nonetheless. Too bad your line of work comes with such measly recompense. Am I right? The wage of a mere soldier. Now, between you and me, tell me truthfully, don't you sometimes wish you could earn more?
Sure, why
Well, I
not?
can't say that I haven't.
Yes. Some extra gold is always welcome.
Indeed. Indeed, gold is always welcome. And among the fabulous five, gold flows as freely as water does to the sea. Even so, my friend, matters of a pecuniary nature aside, what is life without variety, without spice? To be a source hunter must get frightfully dreary sometimes. Am I right? All those orders. Investigate this, retrieve that, and at the end of the day, what do you have to show for it? Wouldn't you prefer to call your own shots? Be your own boss?
Sheep's cheese?
It's better to lead than to follow. That much is true.
Better to be served than to serve. I concur.
Well spoken. Well said indeed. Life's too short to spend it doing someone else's bidding, am I right? Of course I am. And I could help you attain the dream, enact the change you deserve. And that is exactly why I am here. Why fate has put me right by the door to the King Crab, so that I could meet you and tell you about the marvel that is the Fabulous Five. The invitation to join is yours. Grab it. Who? Tom? Doesn't ring a bell. Oh, hold on. Yes, of course, Tom. One of our most recent additions to the Fellowship. Brave kid, smart as a tack. He'll prove to be a wonderful addition to the family yet. Ah, the Fabulous Five. How I enjoy simply saying the words that describe the most illustrious and celebrated adventurers' guild in Riverlon. Our mission, to better the world. Our mantra, to better ourselves as we do so. To realize our dreams and cleanse our souls. You'd like nothing more than to enlist, wouldn't you? Of course you would. And you can. Of course, if you still have questions, I shall answer them to the best of my abilities. But if not, how about we get started? What a gem of a question. Straight as an arrow, sharp as a switchblade. Most meritorious of you. Now then, to join the Fabulous Five is to join a fellowship, to join a fraternity, a sorority, a community. The title of Knight is bestowed upon you the moment you sign our waiver, and so it all begins. I shall be the one to give you your first contracts, and once the job is done, I shall see to it you get your fair share of the reward. Of course, should you spread the word, should you propagate the gospel of the Fabulous Five and thereby draw new knights into our fellowship, you will get a share of the reward from their contracts too. Isn't that wonderful?
That sounds like one of those internet scams. Like if you go to the comment sections of a lot of sites, you see stuff like, I made this amount of money from the internet, join too. That's how it works.
By now, the genial glow of the fellowship must have warmed your heart. It has, hasn't it? But did I say fellowship? I mean family. For like a family, we support one another, cheer one another, see each other through thick and thin, partake in glory and defeat. Work hard. Fulfill contracts. Enlist new knight? Of course, of course, of course. All you need to do is sign this waiver, and just like that, snap! You're part of the family. All I need is your lovely little autograph. What do you say?
I'm straight. I'm true.
Join a guild, better the world, earn a...
And me.
Marvelous. Magnificent. Oh, but what am I saying? Fabulous is the word. You may not realize it yet, but your fortunes, your very life is about to change for the better. So let us not dilly-dally. To business. Oh, it's a pretty straightforward task, this one. Now, in this town dwells a wizard. Ahu is his name, and he's a frightful eccentric. Scientific type, you know the kind. Favors reason over faith and all that. Not Fabulous Five material, him. His experimental weapons may keep a couple of skeletons away from the city, but many of his other researches failed, malfunctioned with tragic consequences. One of them was a big lumbering apparatus, a frightful automaton shaped like a giant made of steel. It was supposed to crush the undead by the dozens, piloted as it was by a trained legionnaire. But you can guess what happened. Did it become sentient? Was it cursed? Whatever the cause, the thing relieved itself of its pilot and headed north towards a network of caves. Now ask yourself, what if it comes back? It could smash the city walls and claim 100 lives before being subdued. Luckily, there are those in this world who belong to the Fabulous Five. The braves who eat such monstrosities for breakfast. Go, my friend. Find this wizard's abomination and claim your just reward from Mayor Cecil in the name of our hallowed guild. Easy money. They call the undead a problem, my friend, but those who know the ways of the...
Let us see if you can choose the finest green.
Let's see. Halibut, sheep's cheese, tomatoes.
Aaron has as many friends as the man with many cheeses.
Oh, my good man.
Come
Drink,
now,
you
Alistair. Surely you've met your match once or twice.
Closest I've come to my match is when I linger over long while lighting my pipe.
Back, demon! Back, or I'll... Well, what's this? Oh, Madar, you lummox. 1,000 pardons, comrade. This old bear's edgier than a dodecahedron these days. I'll tell you, it sure does me good to set eyes on another of our order. From Academy West, aren't you? Give Captain Wartruce my regards next time you see him. Heavens hornets! That's quite a story, comrade. And come to think of it, one that might concern you. See, I'm here on, well, let's call it a loan from a town to the north of here. Hunter's Edge by name. There's been an attack there, comrade. Orcs. Not your run-of-the-mill savages either, but ones who've taken dark magic to new heights. What they want in Hunter's Edge, I can't say, but it's my responsibility to send them packing. Preferably with their horns in their suitcases and a knee-knocking fear of ever crossing paths with a sauce hunter again. I came south seeking the Legion's help, only to find it tied here in Cyseal. They don't have a spare soldier to send northward, and even in my finest form, I can't clear the place of that many orcs without backup. You wouldn't. I trained up in Academy North, after all. We don't cross paths with you Westies all that often, but it's always a pleasure when we do. Madar is the name. Retired, or so the Order keeps trying to tell me, but never out of commission. My hand to your cause and my sword at your side. By the skin of my teeth, comrade. The savages were rounding up villagers when one of them activated a tripwire on our village wizard's property. Fortunately for me, that particular wizard has a penchant for things that go boom in the night. I managed to wrench free of my captor's grip and flee toward the forest. He pursued me for miles, but I'd lost him before I made it into the Cyseal hinterlands. Well, comrade, I hadn't thought of it till you tapped my shoulder just now, but perhaps that's where you come in. I need a contingent I can trust if I'm to take back the town. And the way I see it, you could use reinforcements here in town. I've been scouting Cyseal for some time now, and I believe I've sussed out sufficient intel to help solve the murder of the counselor. With our minds and swords in tandem, we'll make short work of the perpetrator. But it seems you've got all the help you need, haven't you? More's the pity. We could have beheaded 100 Source Yetis in the name of the Order. More than I'd hoped, comrade. I don't know what in tarnation's gotten into the townsfolk here, but there's enough dark magic running roughshod to topple a small mountain. There's Mayor Cecil's doings for one, and the mysteries of our master Thalron for another. And on top of it all, the feline menace is... You mean you don't already know, comrade? Their kind can see in the dark. It ain't natural. Fella seems like a humble doctor, but I bet my sword he's dealing in something darker than splints and tonics. A loose-lipped fishmonger let slip that she'd seen our good doctor scale the city wall on 2 separate occasions, well past midnight each time. What business could he have among the undead? Hardly the habit of an innocent healer, I'd say. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the mayor's a decent sort, even if he can't hear farther than that. But from what I've heard whispered around the docks, the old guy's gotten himself mixed up in something not quite on this side of the law. I suspect an illegal source artifact or substance is at the root of it, but exactly what or who's given it to him, I can't say. And since I haven't technically been assigned to Cyseal, I don't have the authority to interrogate him.
I am on the trail, Source Hunter. Fine, my friend, but I will stay far away from this screech woman.
So you're just hanging around the inn, are you?
Surely you've
waiting
met
for
your
what?
match
I'll tell
once.
you. Hunter's greetings. So, have you changed your mind about venturing forth? Shield to shield? Welcome. I've been scouting Cyseal for some time now. Well, you know the old expression. Two's
A fantastic plan. With 3 source hunters working in tandem, we'll put an end...
Another source? That's the spirit. Listen closely now. Do you hear it? That's the sound of every orc and sorcerer in a 100-mile radius shaking in his wee boots. Dancing dugongs! You nearly startled me out of my boots. Well, you've got my attention,
The northern cave.
Do I seem like the
Watch
sort who
out.
concerns
I
myself with
smell-
such things?
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that
Source
reward
goblin.
money won't be lying
Actually, I think that's only roast pig.
Ah, yes. Yes, of course.
Stop right there. Until you've received the captain's permission to enter, this door doesn't exist. Got it? Not exactly the friendliest bloke, the captain, is he? Well, your reward for getting your ear chewed off is a waltz through the town's finest magical murder scene. Enjoy.
Everything we do seems to fortify your abilities.
It's easy enough to gain new strength when one is carrying an entire team on one's shoulders.
The team hardly enjoys being confused with your massive, wobbling head.
fastened tighter than the treasury.
It's official. The Duke of Ferrol is the worst poet in Rivellon.
In his defense, not much rhymes with murder.
Looking good.
And so we meet yet another adulterous harpy. No doubt she's guilty as sin.
Another? I don't know which Cyseal you've been turned through, buddy, but this one ain't exactly an adulterous harpy nesting ground.
Whatever happened to that troop of eager imbeciles we sent to the northern cave?
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such things?
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lining your pockets.
Tell me, Alistair, have you ever had the fortune of challenging the fabled wizard of Hunter's Edge?
Fortune? Ha! He should be so lucky as to be defeated by Alistair the Great!
They say he's privy to ancient and arcane secrets, the likes of which I doubt you could even fathom, old friend. Come now, Alistair. Surely you've met your match once or twice.
Ha! The closest I've come to my match is when I linger over long while lighting my pipe.
Oh, careful now. Your head's grown more swollen than Saffron's, I dare say.
Whatever happened to that troop of eager imbeciles we sent to the northern cave?
Do I seem like the sort who concerns myself with such things?
You'll be concerned enough when you realize that reward money won't be lining your pockets.
Tell me, Alistair, have you ever had the fortune of challenging the fabled wizard of Hunter's Edge?
Fortune!